Welcome to the Hump Day Hangout podcast by Semantic Mastery, where we answer your local SEO questions every week at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm Adam Moody, and my partner at Semantic Mastery, Bradley Benner, will be sharing his decades of expertise based on not only helping others, but running his own agencies and businesses in the space. If you'd like to join us live on YouTube each week, just go to www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. If you'd like to ask a question ahead of time, go to the same link, www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at any time and submit it there. Don't forget, you can get the Semantic Mastery Local SEO Toolkit for free at the same URL. Okay, let's get going with this episode. Welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode number 551. Today is the 18th of June, 2025. As usual, we got a couple quick announcements and then we're going to get into answering your local SEO questions. So first of all, going to say hello to the guys, see what's going on with them. Usually we do a quick check-in maybe with the weather and see how busy everybody is, and then we'll get into it. So Chris, heading to you first, man. How you doing?
Doing pretty good, cooking in the lab. That's pretty much it. Like it's hot summer. Don't want to be out in the heat, so definitely cooking up something.
Nice. Yeah, it has warmed up here as well. That is for sure. Bradley, how about you? What's the weather at where you're at?
Well, I'm not at my new home,
Hmm.
so I'm back at my folks' lake house because I moved in that new house. I've been there 2 weeks, and I was on a shallow well. And at the closing, the sellers told me that like you're on it's on a shallow well, but there's county waters available at the road if you want to get connected to it, and blah blah blah. And I think that was their way of telling me you're probably going to have problems with the well, without saying it. Like, and now I realize
Yeah.
that that was precisely why they told me that. Because I lived in the house for 2 weeks and I ran out of water. No shit. And so I've got no water at my house. And so now I'm at the process of trying to get connected to the county water, which is going to take weeks. It's going to take 4 to 6 weeks to get that done. I got to pay thousands of dollars to get get the tap connected to the water line and the valve placed in. And then I got to have a plumber come out and install the line to the house and make the connections and all that. It's going to be 4 to 6 weeks before I have water in my house. So anyway, I'm not at my house in Kentucky. I'm back in Virginia at my folks' lake house on Smith Mountain Lake. And it's like warm and been rainy for days. And by the way, over the next week, we're supposed to be like into the high 90s. So it's going to be
Oh,
approaching 100 degrees over the next week. So, anyways, other than that, everything's good, man. Here and
cool.
happy to be here. So,
Cool. Well, I was going to talk about DHA, or the Directory Hybrid Agency Training, and I had something kind of planned on that. But what I am going instead to do is to share. We got a really good comment. It was timely. I'm not making this up. I think it was last night or today. Somebody was asking on one of the videos from within the last couple months. Just they were asking about something. They saw something about directories, and they're like, "Hey, where do I go to get this training?" And I was like, well, you can go to dha.semanticmastery.com. And if you go there right now, you can't enroll, but that will be opening up soon. So we've been putting out a lot of good information. Bradley made some great videos that really goes into a lot of details about this, about what the problems are and how you can overcome them and what DHA does to do that for you as a consultant, as an agency owner, so that you're getting out of that feast or famine cycle and that you're getting a prospecting pipeline going so that you can grow an agency and have predictable revenue as well as leads coming in that pipeline. So, Bradley, do you want to add anything to that? I know we're going to actually launch for 5 days. We're going to open the doors so that people can get started on the next phase, or rather, I should say, phase one training, but they're going to have only 5 days in which to hop in. Is there anything else you want people to know about the DHA training?
um, well, just that, it's super effective, man. It works. It works incredibly well. Like it's incredible how consistent it is at generating leads for my agency. And it's not just me now, it's many of the graduates that completed the program. A lot of people join and they don't ever finish stuff, and that's normal. But the ones that did complete it and that are actively using uh, the campaign or the tool, that what they built, right? They're doing great. Like, in fact, one of the questions in the sheet that we're going to be answering today, the pre-posted questions for today, was from James. I'm not sure which James, but he says it works. Like I'm getting leads coming in. So my guess is it's one of the members of our mastermind that is not part of the DHA coaching program, the separate coaching, which by the way, guys, just to be clear, the DHA coaching program it's there for those that need the additional coaching, support, and accountability. That's it. Everything else is available. Like everything is available to all mastermind members when you join the mastermind. You have access to full SOP training that is done so detailed and so well. Obviously, things change and things are going to have to be updated, and that's normal. But the SOPs are done so thoroughly that in this last phase 1 group that we ended up extending it 2 weeks because I extended it 2 weeks for the group. So we ended up going 14 weeks. So we had 14 weeks of office hours available. So an hour every morning, I was available on a Zoom call to just be there for any kind of support. And I'm telling you, less than 10 times across that 14 weeks of daily office hour calls did anybody even show up for a call because they didn't need to. The SOPs were so well developed. So the point that I'm trying to make is the DHA accountability or group coaching program is for those that need the additional support and accountability. And some of you know who you are. You know if whether or not you follow through with things or if you need somebody to stand behind you and crack a whip and kick you in the ass occasionally. That's what that's for. If you need somebody to kick you in the ass occasionally, I'm your man. Like I can help you do that, right? And I can also provide you with additional support so that if you run into any technical errors or anything like that, you don't get stuck and then decide to quit because it's too hard. Instead, you just ask me and I'll give you the support that you need, right? And a lot of times will be done via a screencast, right? Or a screen share where we'll I'll either navigate you through it or I'll show you how to do it, one or the other. But in any case, that's only there if you need it. If you don't need that, if you feel like you can go through it on your own, come join the mastermind. Otherwise, it's a very powerful system that is consistent. It has been consistent for me for over 4 years, going on 5 years now. And several of our other members that have completed and are using the system are experiencing the same kind of results. Okay. Also, just very briefly, guys, to kind of compound onto that, there's also a video that I recorded yesterday for the Local SEO Insights series, which is a playlist on our channel for that. I kind of demonstrated the process that the DHA Phase 1 program produces. Like, in other words, through that, it's about a 25-minute video that I recorded yesterday, and it just basically talks through what the Phase 1 program is. And I did that intentionally because I know that we're opening up enrollment for the Phase 1 coaching program again. So I just thought it was timely to do that Local SEO Insights video yesterday talking about the Phase 1 kind of component of the DHA program, because I go and I show even examples of like the email replies that I get. I show the inside of my pipeline in my TreeCare HQ CRM, which is the directory CRM. I show the pipeline, I show the number of leads, I show all of that stuff in that video yesterday. So if anybody's on the fence, either go watch the video series as part of the funnel, the enrollment funnel, so to speak, or go watch the local SEO, State of Local SEO Insights video that I recorded yesterday, or watch both. I don't care. And all I'm saying is go get all the information that you need and then come join. Either come join a mastermind if you can support yourself, then that's all you need. Or come join the accountability group and the coaching group, the DHA coaching program, I should say, so that you can be with a small group of other people that are going to be going through the same process as you. And then you get access to me. We have a weekly accountability meeting every Monday, which is a group accountability meeting. And then we have daily office hours. And then you get 3 one-on-one private accountability meetings with me throughout the course of the 12-week program. So that if there's something sensitive or you're embarrassed to bring it up in a group setting or anything like that, you can address it with me privately during the group account or the one-on-one accountability calls. So again, it's only there if you need it. But if in either case, any one of you that are listening or watching or attending right now, if you just join the mastermind, you can get access to all of it. So there you
Awesome.
go.
I got nothing to add to that. I'm looking through the notes. Just wanted to remind people, I put it into chat, but if you'd like to get 5 to 7 actionable local SEO insights based on real business and action items from each generated from Bradley himself, all presented in a newsletter that you can read in 27 minutes, not hours. Check out the Local Mastery newsletter, and you can find out more about that at localmastery.semanningmastery.com. Cool, guys. Let's get into questions.
Okay, cool. We got a handful of questions, so let's jump into them. Some of them are good ones, so I pulled this open and reviewed a couple of them ahead of time. So let me grab a screen and we'll jump right into it. I'm back on my laptop. God damn it. I just got like, I was so excited about being back on a desktop computer with a big monitor. And here I am back on my laptop. It's like, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. So anyway, all right, guys, let's jump into it. Here's the first question from Uzaifa. He says, sorry, I zoomed in too much. How long is your first call with the business owner where you review the directory listing? It depends, but it depends on how the conversation goes, but it's usually 30 minutes. Sometimes it goes longer, depending on how the conversation is going. Some tree professionals are very chatty. It's like nobody's ever taken the time to have a discussion with them about their business. Like I feel like that's the case because there's a number of calls that I get on, and it's hard to get off the call because they just keep sharing more information about their business and stuff, and that's fine. I don't rush it. I don't try to rush them off the call because remember, guys, I'm trying to develop a relationship. That's the whole process here. The whole reason why this process works so well is because of the way that we nurture the contact up until they become a paying client, right? And then we further nurture them beyond that. Don't get me wrong. We don't just like, hey, the sale's made and that's it. You'll never hear from us again. No, no, no. We developed a rapport and goodwill through proper communication, right? And so again, when I get on the calls with them, they're usually about 30 minutes. That's my kind of average time. If the call's not going well, they're shorter. They're usually, 10 to 15 minutes, but I usually spend about 10 minutes discussing the directory listing. And then after that, the rest of the call, however long that is, which is roughly typically around 20 minutes, it's going to be about what we identified through the process of publishing a directory listing, which are where there are opportunities for improvement. That's essentially what we're doing. Remember, it's the problem, agitate, solution framework, copywriting framework, right? Which is, as old as copywriting, right? Problem, agitate, solutions. So we identify the problem, we agitate it a little bit by kind of talking about how they're losing work to competitors because they have these deficiencies or these issues that are preventing them from performing better in the digital space, right? And so we agitate that problem a bit, and then we introduce low-cost solutions that help them to start to address those problems. And we're not telling them, hey, these are going to fix these problems. No, I introduce low-cost solutions that help them to start to address those problems. And I even phrase it that way because $99 per month subscription, remember, we have kind of 3 primary front-end services, and then we now also have an answering service that I can sell. So that really becomes kind of a 4th service, but that's for those that already have leads coming in that need better lead management. Those that don't have a lot of leads coming in yet or not enough and they want more, then it's the other 3 front-end services. So local lead generation sites or LOG sites, Google Business Basic SEO, and reactivation and reviews, which is database reactivation and reviews generation and management. So I call it reactivation and reviews, okay? Or reviews management, whatever, but it includes the reactivation campaign as well. And so I will introduce those problems or those solutions, I should say, on the call, depending on what seemed to be the most relevant or pressing, the most appropriate based upon when my VA, my assistant, when she publishes the directory listing, that's when she takes notes about where they have problems in their digital presence, and she puts that in the contact record in high level so that when I'm calling or on a Zoom meeting with the contact, I have the high level contact record open and all the notes, and I can see specifically exactly which services or problems they were found in their digital presence by my team member, and I can introduce those as low-cost solutions. So that usually, like I said, it takes roughly 20 minutes or so to kind of go through that process. And then I don't typically try to close the client on the call. I mean, don't get me wrong. If they're ready to purchase, I send them a checkout link. But I don't stress the closing on the call, not at all. In fact, I even tell them at the very beginning of the call, like, I'm not going to hard close you. I'm going to show you what I want to show you. And if it makes sense for us to work together, great. If not, hey, the door's always open to you. You can always come back at a later time when you're ready. And guys, time and circumstance changes everything, right? They will typically, if you have provided something of value like a directory listing, and you've been an ear for them to talk to, right? Like you give them your ear and you allow them to talk about their business. You ask them leading questions about their business. Again, the SPIN selling formula, right? SPIN, SPIN, situation, problem, implication, need, payoff. It's the sales method that I adopted And it works incredibly well. It's where you ask the client or the prospect, the contact, questions about their business, but they're leading questions that when they answer, they convince themselves through their own voice, through their own words, that they've got a problem. So you don't have to, I mean, remember, we introduce some problems to them and then ask them questions about those problems. And they, through their own words, convince themselves that, and that's what agitates the problem. Do you understand? We introduce the problem on the call and then ask them questions about those problems and how it's affecting their business. Like, well, how many leads are you currently generating per month or per week on average? Okay, what happens when that lead comes in? How is it handled? What is the typical time frame between when the call comes in and or when it's received and when you return the call? Like, we go through this series of questions, and shut up. You ask the question and you shut up and let them answer. Don't inject yourself so that you can with more about SEO and this and that so that you can sound smart in front of the prospect. No, let them talk. The more they talk, when you ask the right questions, the more they talk, the more they convince themselves that they need help. You understand? That's the whole point of the spin selling process. So when I get on a call with them, look, guys, I'm 100% transparent about the intent of the call and how the call is going to be conducted. I mean, I tell them right up front, like, I'm going to introduce you to some low-cost options that are going to help you to start to address these problems that we've identified, but I'm not going to hard close you. If it makes sense for us to work together at the end of the call, great, let's work together. If not, hey, the door is always open to you. You're always welcome to come when you're ready. And again, time and circumstances change. Circumstance changes everything. So by leaving that door open, right, by communicating with them and building rapport before you ever get to that call, and then by not trying to hard close them on the call, but giving them something of value and then being an ear for them to talk to, right? Like lending them your ear and asking them questions about their business to where you seem genuinely interested in their business and then allowing them to talk. Remember, guys, one of the best ways to be considered a great communicator is to do less talking, right? And ask questions of who you're communicating to and allow them to do most of the talking. When you survey people, like and this has been proven by many sales books and everything else, like, or in sales studies and all that kind of stuff, that those that ask questions and listen and allow the other party to talk the most, when you survey or ask the other party, like, how the conversations went, they always say, man, that was a great conversation. Like, when they're doing most of the talking, it's always a great conversation. You get it? And so the whole point here is you're giving yourself to them to allow them, you're acting as a sounding board almost for them to kind of vent about their business. And then again, like I said, at the end of the call, if they're ready, I send them a checkout link. But if they're not, I say, hey, there's no problem. Listen, I don't expect you to purchase anything today. It's perfectly fine. What I'm going to do is just ask your permission, if it's all right, if I send you a few emails over the next few days about what we discussed on today's call. Is that fair? And I nod my head. And I always ask, is that fair? Should we proceed? Is that okay? Whatever. And I nod my head. And they say, yeah, that's great. No problem. And I say, in every email that I send you, there will be a link to either schedule a call with me or to go, purchase whatever it is that we talked about on today's call. But don't hesitate. If you have any questions or whatever, just schedule a call with me and we can jump on a quick call and we'll chat it out. Does that sound reasonable? Nod your head. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks. Okay, great. Well, I appreciate your time today. You'll be hearing from me in the next couple of days. And we end the call, and that's it. So usually about 30 minutes. Sometimes it goes way longer. But the whole point here, guys, is you leave the door open, right? And non-confrontational, aggressive sales tactics, right? So that when they're ready, who do you think they're going to think of? You think they're going to go search for somebody else that they don't know, and then subject themselves to hard closing tactics and all the other stuff that mostly happens? Or do you think they're going to come back to the person that spent time providing them something of value and communicating with them without ever expecting anything in return, at least not initially? You see what I'm saying? And it works, guys. They come back months later, sometimes years later. I talked about this, I think, last week, but I had a tree service contractor that got in Fort Myers, Florida area. They're in Pine Island, St. Mary's, I think, or St. Charles City, I think it's called. It's on Pine Island. It's off the coast in the Gulf area. Anyways, long story short, they got hit by that hurricane 3 or 4 years ago. That was like it wiped it out basically. And he was a tree contractor client of mine. And so once he got hit by, he was like, look, I got to cancel services. We're so swamped with, emergency work and cleanup work that I'm not going to be taking any new kind of leads at all for months. And so he said, I'm going to have to cancel SEO services. And I said, look, man, I understand what you're going through and I appreciate it. I do. So therefore, I'm going to continue doing SEO for you for the next few months anyways, for free. And when you get back to a point where you think it's, you can subscribe again or whatever, just contact me. And I kept going for 6 months. And then eventually I contacted him and and had a conversation with him, and we agreed that I would just cancel my services at that point. But I did it for 6 months. It was very minimal work because I'd already got him ranking. So it was very minimal work. It's maintaining citations and a few links here and there that I built and stuff like that. But it's very minimal work. And I didn't charge him a dime. Well, that was like whenever that was. That was whenever that hurricane hit the Fort Myers, Florida area and Tampa area, which was several years ago now, 3 or 4 years ago now. Anyway, long story short, I got a call from him last year. He said he wanted to sell the business. So he gave me a call to ask like, hey, is there anything you can do to help me to sell the business? And I created a landing page for him. And I said, well, look, because we had done some review generation and list reactivation stuff for him when he was my client. So when he asked to sell he told me he was looking to sell the business. I said, look, well, I've got all your contacts from when you were using my services in the Tree Care HQ app, which is high level, his sub account. And I was like, I already have all that there. I can do an email blast for you if you'd like to a sales page. So I set up a sales page in his sub account. And then I just did an email blast for him, did 2 emails out to his list for it. Well, he ended up selling the company, excuse me. He sold the company. And I got a call from him about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago now, where he was like, hey, this is Gerard Secoria. And he was like, hey, I was just giving you a call to let you know I did end up selling the business. And he goes, and now I'm working with the new owner to kind of help them get, into the, take over everything and integrate it into the company and all that kind of stuff. And he said, I'd like to kind of, present some marketing opportunities for him. And I, wanted to see what you could do. So here's the thing. I kind of refreshed all of his reports, his link analysis reports, his rank reports, all that kind of stuff. And I recorded a quick video reviewing all the data. And I sent it to him and said, here you go. This is what I suggest. And he said, great, I'll relay it to the new owner and we'll get back to you. That was, like I said, 4 or 6 weeks ago. I haven't heard back from him yet. But the point that I'm trying to make is, do you see what happens, guys, is these kind of things occur when you treat your contacts properly and you develop a relationship, you nurture them, you warm them up, you develop rapport, right? You create goodwill, right? Between you and the prospect to contact so that they think of you when they are ready, and time and circumstance will change everything. Like they will be ready for something. And when they are, who do you think it's going to be? You think they're going to go find somebody cold? Or do you think they're going to find the rarity that was willing to talk to them and provide them something of value without expecting anything in return, didn't do any kind of nagging, hard sales tactics or anything like that? It works. They come back months later, weeks later, sometimes months later, sometimes years later, and they're ready to make a purchase at that time. So I think it's a great, great strategy, guys. I'm telling you, it's one of the best strategies. It's the most successful strategy I've had for lead generation and sales since I started. Okay. Anyway, great question. Next one is on some of my LOG sites, again from Huzaifa. He says, on some of my LOG sites in the things to do in top site section, I get the images by using the copy image link method from Google Maps to display the images on my site, but the images disappear after some time. Do you also experience this, and how do you have a fix for it? Yeah, that's because you're copying the URL and just pasting it in. And if it's a URL that's on like on a CDN, and some of Google's images are like that, then those are dynamic URLs. They will change. When they change, the image breaks. That's why in the SOPs, which I know, Huzaifa, you're still not in the mastermind, but here's in the SOP. This is specifically the G-hosted images module in the SOP for LLG site deployment. Specifically, what you do is you extract the image URL and you look for the string of characters that starts with AF. It always starts with AF1, or I think that's AF1. But it's always AF, and that's either an L or a 1. It's either a lowercase L or a 1. In any case, it's always that string of characters. And you can find that string of characters up until you see an exclamation. You'll see this kind of other pattern of characters that starts to include exclamation points, right? And when you see that is the image slug, to be clear. That is the permalink or the slug for the image. and then you cut that out, and then you just append that to this specific URL format. So what I'm telling you is if you copy one of those images that are broken, the copy image URL, and then paste it into a notepad file, you will see it's a different URL format than what is listed right here. Take a screenshot of this if you're not in the mastermind, okay? And then you can recreate this from the screenshot. What I'm saying is, again, you want to always extract that image slug, right, from that longer URL version that might include the CDN, right? So it's a dynamic URL or whatever it's going to update. Once you extract that image code or whatever, which ends up being basically the permalink, the slug, then if you just append that to this particular format right there, then it's always going to be fine, because that's not a dynamic URL. Do you get it? So for example, just go over to, we'll use Albemarle Felling Pro again. Scroll down here and we'll just pick one, like that one. We're going to say copy image address. I'm going to open up a notepad file and we're going to paste that in. Oh, well, that's okay. That was a Wikipedia image. So let's try this. Let's go to Charlottesville. We'll know that one should be a Google image. Copy image address. Sorry, there it is. Okay. See that? That right there is the code. And this is what I'm telling you. So it's that code right there. You're going to see that present even in one of those dynamic URLs. You'll see that pattern that's going to start with, so it is AF1. It always starts with AF1. It's been like that for over 5 years. I don't know why, but it's been like that for over 5 years. It's AF1. That's all. And like I said, once you get to the actual image or to the end of that string of characters, you'll see it picks up with like this other kind of pattern of characters that will have exclamation points. And it's usually that first exclamation point. So if you do that, it will no longer break the image. It'll stay permanent, right? All right, moving on. Keep telling you, join the mastermind, Uzaifa. Can't give you all these tips and tricks. Part of the free is part of Hump Day Hangouts, man. I don't mind giving you that one, but I can't give them all away. So anyways, I appreciate that you're doing all of this without being in the mastermind, Uzaifa. I really do, man. That shows some ambition. So I'm proud of you for that, dude, for real. That there's been a number of people over the years that have joined Hump Day Hangouts or attended Hump Day Hangouts and created some of the things that I talk about without actually being in the mastermind with the SOPs. And I'm always very impressed by that. Rob Beal, who was a JV partner of ours for quite some time, he did the same thing with Google Drive Stacks, what we called RYS Academy. He kind of reverse engineered how to build Drive Stacks without buying our course. And that's part of the reason why he ended up becoming a JV partner of ours and developed the relaunch, the second version of it, is because, again, I always find that kind of stuff very impressive when you guys attend and just get this, me talking about things conceptually, and then you go out and execute. It's impressive. So I'm proud of you for that, man, but I still think you should join the mastermind. So anyway. Moving on. Next question is, do you record the first call, which is the directory listing delivery call in video format, and on the business owner comfortable with that? I do sometimes. Sometimes I do it because I want to have the video for either for review to see how I can improve it, or for training purposes. I have not been recording them lately. I just haven't been, but I will be recording some more in the coming weeks as I'm starting to prepare for launching the phase 2 training program, which is sales and fulfillment. I want to have some fresh recordings of sales calls. So over the next few weeks, I'm going to start recording some of those calls so that I have some examples to show within the training. Okay, hopefully that's clear. Are they comfortable with it? Yeah, I've never had anybody said they weren't. Like I said, I don't record all calls, but whenever I have asked, do you mind if I record this? Nobody's ever said that they cared. So it's not been a problem. All right, James. So here's this is one I was talking about earlier, guys. James says, first of all, 71% positive reply rate so far. This is from his cold email, guys. Get it? I was just showing this in the video yesterday, but take a look at this. We're going to instantly real quick. The video that I recorded yesterday, again, local SEO insights, the week of June 16th, I think it was. June 16th. Yeah, it would have been 2 days ago. Anyways, take a look at this. We go into campaigns. Like this one just completed on, I think, June 9th. Yeah, June 9th or 10th is when this one completed. But look at overall, guys. I sent 617 contacts into the sequence, 83% open rate, not response rate, open rate. Okay. 32 opportunities. That's about, what is that? 10% would be 60. So 5%. 5% response rate on cold emails, guys. That's unheard of. Seriously, go look at other cold email stats, guys, and you'll see that, like, you get 1.5%, 2%. That's an incredible response rate. We're getting 5%, right? You guys see that? That's fucking amazing. 83% open rate and 5% opportunities or reply rate. That, to me, that's absolutely incredible. I just started this campaign might have been yesterday. So usually at the start of a campaign, you're going to get a little. Yesterday, when I recorded the video, it was at 45% open rate. A day later, it's at 51% open rate. I just started this campaign. The first emails went out on Friday, June 13th, last Friday. See what I'm saying? So this is a brand new campaign. It's a smaller list, only 307 contacts. Only 53 have been added to it so far. And they're in the sequence at some point. It just started a few days ago. So I don't think anybody's gone through the full sequence yet. It looks like, yeah, step 5 hasn't even been sent out yet. So step 5 hasn't even been sent. There's 5 emails in the sequence. So step 5 hasn't even been sent out yet. But just showing you guys, again, this is the brand new campaign. It's not even been a week. 51% open rate. So stuff works, man. I'm telling you guys. All right. So the question is this, do you pitch all 3 of your front end services on the call, or just the one that they can benefit from the most? This is a great question, James. So I'll address that. Would you recommend introducing the 3 services at a very high level and then give more details if they start asking questions that show interest? Yes. And so that's actually exactly what we do. So through the process, the lead processing process, right? Let's go back into the mastermind community, come back over here, go to the SOPs. Right here, directory SOPs. This is it right there, lead processing, right? This is what it looks like. We're going to come in here. Because I want to show you guys right there. We're going to go look at it. Well, that was whatever, Facebook post. So this is going through the process for, I don't know if that was all. I might have just, give me a second. I think I just pulled that one up. I think I just labeled that Facebook post. It should have all the data in it, but we'll go to another one just to be sure. So let's go to lead processing right here. We'll just open up this one. So anyway, this is the SOP for that. And so this shows the BA how to then go in and extract all the relevant information by doing searches for the company, looking at their social media, their website, all that kind of stuff. And they populate the contact record in high level. That's what we use for our CRM. With all that detail, right? Specifically, which of the 3 services that the 3 front-end services do they need? Sometimes it's more than one, sometimes it's all 3, whatever. Okay, so they put all those notes in the contact record. Then when I get on the listing delivery call, which is the start of the sales conversation, then I will, again, first 10 minutes, we're reviewing the listing, and I'm talking through that and making any edits to the actual listing real time with them on the call. Then we go into the listing, or the start of the sales conversation, which is where I introduce those problems. And then I will tell them what the issues were that we identified, right? That's the problem. Then we ask them questions about, those issues and how do you think this is hurting, how do you think this is affecting your business? Let them talk, right? Do you see how your competitor, and you name them because you can see it in the local search grid report, you can see what the names are of the top ranked competitors. So you reference them by name, like Tommy's Tree Service. Do you see how Tommy's Tree Service is literally dominating your local area? And they're probably getting, 8 out of every 10 calls. Well, that's agitating the solution. You see what I'm saying? And you ask them questions and you get them to talk through it and answer. Anyway, then based upon how the conversation is going, let's say that all 3 services, LLG sites, GB SEO, and review service, all needed. They really need all 3. Well, I've talked about this the last few weeks on Hump Hangouts, but it's worth repeating. I'm going to either lead if they are open and willing, like if they're open to the idea of getting, like, signing up for more than one service, and then I will suggest all of the services that we feel are most appropriate or most needed by them, right? But if I feel like they're a bit resistant to that, which the conversation will determine that, I can tell from the conversation, then I'm going to lead with what I think is either the most important or as I've been talking about for the last few weeks, James, and that's what I'm about to repeat, is I found that I lead with the review service. Even if one of the other services like Google, look, if they have to have a Google Business Profile first and foremost, or we can't do the review service. So they have to at least have it published and optimized enough to where, to where it's not, has to have the proper Google Business category. So in my industry, it's just tree service, right? It has to be, the name has to be correct, not something non-relevant, right? It should be linking to a website, doesn't have to, but it should be. And the website should at least be decent, etc. But what I'm getting at is, even let's just say a contact was all three of the front end services could be pitched to them. If I feel like, as long as they have a GBP that will support the review service campaign, right, then I'm going to lead with the review service. In other words, if the contact isn't, open to more than one service, if I feel like they're resistant to it because they don't know me yet, I haven't proven to them that I can deliver anything, like I say I can, other than a free listing, right? And it makes sense, and I understand that. That's why I developed these products, guys, these services as low-cost front-end services, because I used to just pitch full-on retainer-based services at $850 a month was my starting price, and that's what I used to pitch on all sales calls. There were no other options. It started at $850 and went up from there. But I learned over time by doing enough calls that I could increase my close rate by offering much lower cost services that continue to develop that relationship further, so that then I can ascend them up into higher level retainer packages at a later time. And that way I end up generating a lot more conversions from my sales calls, my booked sales calls, because instead of it's either this or nothing, it's okay, well, let's have a conversation and we'll figure out what's most appropriate for you at this time, which oftentimes was something of lesser value than what the full retainer package is, because they're not ready to commit to that yet, because they don't know me yet and they've been burned by other SEO companies, etc. So that's why I have these three front end services. But to get back to the question, even if they needed all three, as long as they have a GBP that will support a reviews campaign, then I'm going to lead with that. I'm going to suggest that, or I'm going to prioritize that. And that is because as long as the GBP will support the reviews, meaning it's published, it's verified, etc., then generally from the reviews alone, as long as they have a customer list, they have to have a pre-existing customer list in order for this to work. Then we're going to do a review generation campaign initially with their customer list, where we're going to do a blast to try to get a flood of new reviews in within a 10 to 14 day period, within 2 weeks. Okay. And through the competition analysis, which I do, well, it's really the local search grid report, which we generate before the call. So I have the local search grid report available on the call, and it shows the top ranked competitors and the quantity of reviews and the star ratings and everything else. And so I can determine from that about how many reviews we need to get within the next 10 to 14 days in order to show typically a nice lift in maps search. Like, in other words, the local search grid report, we can, remember, we're selling reviews at this point, but that's typically going to have an influence on how the GBP performs in search. And so if I'm only going to pitch one because I've caught some resistance on more than one service, then I'm going to lead with the review service, because with that service, I can most likely show search performance improvements, as well as the tangible result of just having a higher star rating, review count quantity, right? Plus star ratings if they have anything less than five stars, and we're going to try to get them 5-star reviews, which is going, again, that's a vanity play for them to see their reputation quantity, their review quantity increase, and also their star rating improve if it was lower than 5. So that's a vanity thing that you're kind of playing to, number one. But then number two, it will typically show an improvement in maps search, right? That won't stick unless they have a steady stream of new reviews coming in after that initial flood. So that's why we, like, for example, I just recorded some training about a new client that I sold a review service to, in a tree contractor in Pennsylvania. And so I was recording training videos for the SOP. And he gave me a list of like 270 contacts or something like that. And we took about 70 contacts from that list to put into the initial campaign, which is it's in progress right now. It actually started on Monday this week. So, and he went from, well, shit, I'll just show it to you. Let's just show it to you. It was 13 reviews. Well, it was 12 reviews when we started. Last Friday, when I was setting up the campaign, I did a test message to one of his contacts, and they submitted a review. So it went to 13 on Friday. And then on Monday is when I actually started officially the campaign. And now they're at 23. We got them 11 reviews, guys. Again, officially the campaign started on Monday. It was at 12 on Friday. But like I said, as I was kind of configuring the high level account, I did an actual review request out to one of his contacts, and they actually submitted a review within the same day. And so it went from 12 to 13 on Friday. But on Monday is when the official start date of the campaign was. And so it's been 5 days, and we've gone from 13 to 20, or 5 days. It's been 3 days. And we've gone from 13 to 23 reviews, right? I could show you, because I could show the local search grid report where it actually showed that count previously. Anyway, all I'm saying is that's what I want to lead with, right? I'm going to give it, but the initial email review request campaign for that list of 70 contacts is going to go over 2 weeks. And then once that's done, then the remaining contacts, roughly 200 contacts on the list, they go on to a drip campaign where we'll do like 2 review requests per day, Monday through Friday. That's it, right? That's it. And that's because we don't want to go through the whole list and get a flood of reviews and then it's crickets afterwards, because then any performance gains they get will eventually wane. They'll go down for not continuing to receive reviews. So what I'm getting at, hopefully answer your question, James, is depending on the conversation and what their current online presence looks like, if they're ready and willing and able to purchase more than one service, I'm going to recommend whatever is relevant to them. Right? Whatever I feel is most important to their improving their digital presence. If I feel like there's any sort of resistance to multiple services being offered to them, then I'm going to lead, as long as the GBP is in a state that will support the reviews campaign, and they have a customer list, that's a pre-requirement, then I will go ahead and pitch the review service for the reasons that I just described. Now, sometimes I get on calls with a tree contractor who already has a decent online presence, and they already have a decent lead volume. And through the conversation, we determine that it's not that they actually need more leads, but they need a better lead management system, which is then when I will pitch them the answering service. See, and again, the answering service is $199 a month. It gives them 500 minutes a month, and it's only 25 cents per minute a month in overage. And the answering service not only answers inbound calls, takes the contact information, the job details, etc., and then sends it to the contact, but then they also, it's also a message taking app. I just had that developed last week. Like, in other words, if a pre-existing client or customer calls the contractor and asks a question, like to leave a message or to give an update about, like an example would be, hey, I'm just calling in to make sure that the crew knows the access code to the gate at our driveway, and also they know not to park on the grass, right? That's a message that now the AI answering service can take. And then now the AI answering service, which also sends the lead information, can now relay messages to the contractor. So I'm just showing you the different front-end services that we have. There was a reason that I developed those guys. It was because I got tired of getting on sales calls, pitching my full load, so to speak, and then getting denied from that. And so it's not that I didn't also close some of those at a later time when they were ready, because time and circumstance changes everything. It's true that I would land some of those clients at a later time when they were ready. But I found that I have a much higher conversion rate if I can close them on a much lesser, like lower cost service that they don't even think about. And that way I can continue to develop the relationship. And I'll do things like, if they get on the review service, right, I'll send it, even after a sales call, if they don't purchase anything yet, there's other things that I will do to help kind of encourage them to take that next step, which would be to purchase something, right? So for example, rep videos, right? You guys know rep videos, David Sprague's reputation videos or whatever. We've seen those for years. I think they look great. A lot of local local businesses haven't seen them. So I'll take one of the reviews, and even if they haven't become a customer yet, and create a reputation, I call it a review commercial. That's what I call it, but it's a rep video. But a review commercial, I'll create a review commercial from one of the reviews, and I'll send it to them in an email. Like, hey, just following up, reaching out again, just to contact you, to check on you, see how you're doing, see how your business is doing. Oh, and hey, by the way, I noticed you got a new 5-star review last week or 2 weeks ago, or whatever, and I thought it looked great, so I did this, and you send them the video. It's hosted on my YouTube channel, but you send them the video and you say, hey, you can put this on your website, or you can, post it on your social media or whatever. It's free of charge, but listen, reach back out to me. I got some other things I want to bring to your attention, or that I want to kind of some opportunities that I want to share with you, etc. Right? Again, you give them something of value, right? So this contact, even if you don't close them on the call, there's nurture sequences built into my automations and everything, depending on which service it is that we talked about. We just tag them, and it automatically add with the appropriate tag, and it automatically adds them into the correct sequence, which is a nurture sequence about whatever services we talked about on the call. But there's other things that we can do to help continue to further nurture and develop that contact to move that sale forward, right? And so again, guys, build that relationship. And I promise you, what happens is over time, you get all these contacts that you build all this goodwill with that might not have been ready initially to close, but at some point they will be. And who do you think they're going to go to? It will be you, because you gave them the attention that they deserved. You see what I'm saying? Guys, so I mean, I've been doing this for 15 years, and it hasn't been until I started kind of learning sales tactics and then also learning about just treating people with proper respect, right? And as a salesperson, like when you first get into sales, like I know it's always about closing the sale, but I've learned over the last 4 going on 5 years that I've really been, intense about studying marketing, like direct response marketing and sales and practicing and all that kind of stuff, is that when you treat people like people instead of like a sale that needs to be closed, it changes the dynamic. Like 100%, it really does. Don't get me wrong. You're going to get on sales calls where they're just going to be flat out pricks no matter what. And for those people, by the way, if you have a pipeline full of contacts that are in your nurture sequence or in the nurture phase, do you think you have to spend any time or energy on those contacts that are acting like pricks? Like, no. Because that's the thing, guys. Think about it now. If you don't have a prospect line, like a pipeline full of prospects, then you'll bend over backwards and you'll eat a shit burger from a prospect if you think it'll close the sale, right? Because you need the additional revenue and you don't have a lot of other opportunities available to you. I know, because I've been there. I've done that, where I would literally bend over backwards and for a contact or prospect that was being unreasonable just to close the damn sale because I needed the revenue years ago, right? I've been there, guys. So what's the better alternative? Fill your pipeline full of leads, because you're going to run across those that are going to be unreasonable. Well, guess what? You can tell them to hit the road, go kick rocks, like go kick rocks. Go shit in your hat, right? There's no reason for me to continue talking to you, right? I don't have to, and I don't have to be rude about it. I just have to, like, hey, your directory listing is published. I appreciate your time. Goodbye. Get off the phone. Get off the Zoom call, whatever, right? Move on. You've got more contacts available to sell to. So anyway, great question, James. I really appreciate that question. I think, again, depending on the situation, if as long as they have the contact list and a GVP that will support reviews, lead with the reviews. That tends to show the best results. And remember, I'm not guaranteeing anything other than we'll increase your review count. And so that's why I don't pitch that it's going to improve your Google business profile performance or your presence in map search. When I offer them the review service, I don't tell them that. I then tell them that after we do the initial review campaign, and usually the local search grid report shows significant improvement from that blast of reviews that they just received. And then that's when I bring that to their attention, because I don't want to pitch that to them ahead of time and say, oh, and by the way, this is going to improve your Google business profile performance, et cetera. Because what happens if we do the review campaign and it's one of those cases where it didn't improve the performance of the GVP much? That does happen occasionally. Well, then now I didn't deliver upon what I said I was going to. That's why I don't tell them that with the review service. I tell them, look, we're going to increase your review count. As long as you provide a good service, it should be high star ratings from those reviews. And that's going to increase your exposure. And that's going to also make it more likely that people searching for tree services in your area will pick you because you have a good reputation. Do you understand? And then we also do reputation marketing, like review commercials are included, 1 review commercial per month. So I pitch that. I say, these are part of your deliverables for this service. but I don't pitch the GBP performance gain, right? Until it happens. Once it happens, then I bring it to their attention. Now that's added value, right? Do you understand? We under promised and over delivered at that point. That's why I don't pitch that. I don't bring it to their attention until after it's occurred. Okay. Hopefully that's clear. All right. Anyway, moving on. I'm not going to answer those two questions. We only got 10 minutes left anyways, and those are always difficult to answer because they're just comments from YouTube, and I don't know the full context, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Moving on. Next, Huzzy says, what do you do for the basic GBP SEO front-end services that you offer? We do on-page optimization for the GBP. That's a one-off service. And then we do Yext power listings, although that is likely going to change to a different provider because Yext, the Yext service provider through SEMrush that I've used, they more than doubled their price for the same fucking service. It went from $20 a month to $50 a month. And so I'm not going to use that service anymore. I'm going to find an alternative. Anyways, currently it is on-page optimization for the GBP, the profile itself. We do Yext power listings, excuse me. And then we do a weekly Google business profile post. That's it. We'll do a G site, excuse me. As part of the on-page optimization, the profile optimization, we do a Google site, so sites.google.com. We do a mirrored site, call that content mirroring, right? There's SOPs in the mastermind for specifically how we do that. But that's because, remember, if all we're doing is Google Business Basic SEO, we're not touching their website, right? So we're not optimizing their site. We're not touching their site. We're not building them a site. All we're doing is optimizing their GBP. So if their website is junk, which a lot of times it is, or it's not optimized properly, whatever, then we need to have an asset that we can use. So we use the Google site for that, which is why we will mirror the structure of their main website into a Google site, but we will make structural corrections in the G site. Now the G site is now available as a link building target for when and if they decide to ascend to a high level campaign with me, a higher level service, in which case we like a full SEO plan, which will include link building. Now the G site is already built and the G site becomes a link building target, right? A primary link building target. So hopefully that makes sense. It's a very basic offer. Guys, look, do this. Go to gbp.treecarehq.com. You can see exactly what I sell. Right there. Right there. Okay. That's what I sell for Google Business Basic SEO. You want to see the review service? Go to reviews.treecarehq.com. Okay, that's the review service. We have the LLG sites, right? Websites, websites.treecarehq.com. Right there, local lead generation website. Right? We have the AI appointment assistant, which I believe I call that canopycall.treecarehq.com. HQ.com. Boom. There's my 4 front-end services, guys. In this order, we do it LLG sites, Google Business Basic SEO, Shaking the Bushes, which is the reactivation and review service. That's what I call it for tree care contractors. Why? Because when you shake, I always make a joke about shaking the bushes, right? You shake bushes and money falls out. So that's why. It's a reactivation campaign. We're going to contact your old customers, your past customers, and we're going to re-engage them. It's both list reactivation and reviews management. And then we have the AI appointment assistant, which I call for tree care contractors. It's called Canopy Call Appointment Assistant. Okay. There you go. Those are our services. Moving on. Nick says, can you talk about the best niches for directory agency model? Any kind of service area business. Full stop. That's it. You can modify the whole process to work with storefront businesses, but it's more difficult. It is, to be honest. So service area businesses, any kind of service area business is a good niche, but you have to validate whether it's a good industry, and that's what this SOP is for, right? That's what the very first SOP is for, selecting a niche or an industry. It's very, very thorough, guys, because it's important to select the appropriate industry. I put a lot of time into this SOP. It's very detailed. It walks you through the steps in the research phase to determine whether the industry is viable or not. Any type of service area business would be suitable for the DHA model, but is it a good fit for the DHA model? No. You need to determine that through some analyses, which is what this SOP is for. This SOP is for identifying an industry and putting it through a series of steps or tests or whatever, do some analysis to determine, is it viable for this model? And all of that is covered in this SOP. Okay. So I mean, again, any service area business I recommend because those are just more suited for this type of a model. But you need to, the number one, first and foremost thing that should look at is the trend, the overall industry trend. Is it increasing in demand or staying steady in demand historically? If you see a decline in demand, that is not an industry that you want to get involved with, okay? Because it means at some point you're going to run out of customers. If it's steady in demand or increasing in demand, then you're good to go, okay? But all of that is covered in the SOP. All right, that's the first SOP in the series. Again, back over here, right there, it's that one. Right? Good question. Are mobile first and voice search optimization still a thing, or I'm wasting time with them? No, they're a thing. They're a thing for sure, especially with language models now. Yext actually does optimize for language or chat search too, like voice search and stuff, which is part of the reason I liked it. But SEMrush just killed us with their pricing. It's stupid. Can you go over how to do competitor analysis? Yeah, Bob, just go to YouTube. Excuse me. Click on our channel. So youtube.com/@semantic-mastery. Okay. And then right here, once you're on our channel, so youtube.com/@semantic-mastery, right there is the channel search function or feature or whatever. Click on that and search for competitive link analysis. You can just search YouTube for it and it will come up too, I'm sure. If you go directly to our channel, you'll see it. It's this one right here, competitive link analysis for local SEO. Watch that. It's 1 hour and 8 minutes. Watch it on 1.5 speed if you want. But if you click on that right there, this is the full training for the exact process that I use for developing competitive link analysis reports. And right here is the copy of the Excel file. It's the pinned comment. It's also listed right here. Well, no, it's not listed in the description. Excuse me. It's listed in the pinned comment. But that's the competitive link analysis workbook. Let me show you what I mean. Yeah, this is it. Oops, sorry. Get back in there. This is what it looks like. It's this document right here, this Excel file that has the formulas and everything already integrated in there that makes all these averages and these charts and all of that. All of that is in that document that's pinned in that first comment right here. So make a copy of that and then just follow the training in this video here. That is the exact same process that we use for developing competitive link analysis reports, which is the start of all link building campaigns for all clients, all white label clients, period. I don't ever do any link building or make any recommendations for links or anything without having one of these reports. That's it. This is how we determine what the campaign needs. Specifically, quantity metrics, anchor text metrics, relevance metrics. All of that is determined from these reports, right? And that's 100% given away right there in that training, okay? Exact same process that we use. All right. Great questions, everybody. Appreciate everybody. Oh, I meant to pitch Dave's helping SEO out, but we're just about running out of time. I mentioned that. I'll try to remember to do that next week. But helping SEO out, guys, go check that out. Help and SEO out. It is like help a reporter out, but it's for doing local link exchanges or link exchanges for local SEO. So it's free currently. He's trying to build a user base and a link opportunity database. So he's allowing people to join for free. Go check it out. I encourage you to check it out. All right. Last thing I'm going to do is look at some questions or comments, and we're going to wrap up for the day.
I think we're good. Had a running commentary back and forth in the chat, but otherwise we're good.
Okay, so nothing that anybody needed to comment on? Okay. I'm just going to read through a couple of these just because we got a minute or two left. Costco, I have listing delivery calls today, tomorrow, and Friday. Hope the other 2 calls actually show up. Look, when they don't show up, because remember, these are busy professionals. Like tree service contractors, I get a lot of missed appointments too, guys. So follow up with them. Just follow up with them, right? Follow up with them and send them an email and or SMS. Call them if you want. I don't like to do calls. I really don't. I prefer to do it via text. I don't mind talking to them when we've agreed to talk. Do you understand? I don't like doing calls when we haven't agreed because I hate it when people call me out of the blue. I fucking hate it. I really do. I don't answer unscheduled calls, right? I really don't. Even from business contacts, most of the time. It's got to be scheduled or I'm not answering it, okay? Because it interrupts my workflow. So imagine that being a local business is in my industry's, managing his crew in the middle of a tree removal job. And I call him and start out, talking to him like, hey, you missed your appointment, blah, blah, blah. That's irritating. Don't do that. I'll send him an email or an SMS like, hey, I understand you're a busy tree contractor. My guess is you got tied up on a job or whatever. I get it. It happens all the time. I'm going to give you another opportunity, though, for us to jump on a call to review your directory listing. And not only, and that's when by the way, after that is when I will push that, agitate the problems a little bit. They might not even be aware of the problems yet, but that's where in that follow-up, because they no-showed for the appointment, that's where I may introduce the problem to them as a kind of a more incentive for them to get on the call. Like, hey, listen, part of the reason why I wanted to get on this call with you is because we identified some problems that are preventing you from getting jobs in the areas that you said you wanted to get jobs from. We would like to address this with you on the call. Book a time with me here. Well, what problems do we have? Boom. Then I've got a whole automation set up for that. Well, what do you mean the problems? Well, this is where you said you wanted to get jobs. This is where you're actually getting jobs. I'd like to talk about this on the call with you. When's a good time? Book on my calendar. See what I'm saying? So follow up with him, guys. You can automate a lot of that. Are these your first calls in the DHA process? It is the listing delivery call is the first call in the process. Maybe he's asking customer. What do you do with no-shows? SMS or another email? Both. I do SMS and email. I don't like to call them. So do any of the no-shows rebook the call? Yes. Yes, they do. 2,400 contacts, 7,300 emails sent, started sending a week ago. Damn, you sent 7,300 emails in a week? Dude, you're being way aggressive. I mean, maybe that's all right for you. That, to me, I'd be flooded with so many damn leads, I wouldn't know what to do. I think that's too aggressive. Currently, just to be clear, and Adam, if you got to go, you can go, dude. I'm just going to wrap up as soon as I get done. A couple comments.
Sounds good.
So I'll see you, buddy. Appreciate you sticking around.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back in instantly and just show you guys this really quickly. So this campaign ran, like I said, 83% open rate. And this campaign, if we look at the schedule, or the options, I was doing 5 email accounts at 15 emails per day, right? So because there's 5 email accounts and it was a total of 75 emails per day. So that's 15 emails per email account. See what I'm saying? So, you're talking 10 days, 10 days would be 750 emails. So the fact that you got such a high, we stay busy, man. Like if you look at the inbox or the CRM or whatever, we get lots of inbound leads coming in from that volume. Remember, there was about a 4 or 5 day period last week where there was no email activity being sent. And then I picked back up on the 11th or whatever. I think it was Friday. Is when I got the new campaign set up. And look, since Friday, look at that. And by the way, look at the new campaign. Just to be clear, this is what I'm saying. The volume does not have to be that high or aggressive, guys. It doesn't need to be. This campaign's only 307 contacts. So look at the options. I've got 5 email accounts, but I'm only sending 25 emails a day. Get it? So I'm only sending 5 emails per day per account. 25 emails, 25 new contacts are being added into the sequence on a daily basis. Do you get what I'm saying? So I went from 75 to 25. So a third of what my volume was before. And you can still see, look at, again, the data doesn't lie. A third of the volume, and we're still receiving almost daily leads coming in. You guys see, you can't help but get better at selling whatever service it is you're trying to sell when you got this many sales opportunities in front of you guys. Those of you that are struggling to generate revenue in your business and generate leads and land new clients, what are you waiting for, right? Again, I show this as often as possible for a reason. I want you guys to get better results instead of struggling. When I got over in my own business, when I got over all the stuff that, many of you are doing, I did it too. I did all the bad habits that most local SEOs do. I went through every stage of that. I still have a lot of bad habits, to be honest. But when it came to this, about automating my prospecting and lead generation and being consistent, and then studying and practicing sales, it made all the difference in the world in my business, guys. It wasn't chasing the next SEO tactic that made that significant of a difference in my business. What did was consistent lead generation for my own agency and practicing sales. right? Those two things had the biggest impact on my life, not just my business, but on my life because of the amount of additional revenue that it generated. I've more than quadrupled my annual revenue in the last 4 years. That is not a joke, guys. And it's because I've focused in on these types of things, marketing and sales, right? And so I'm not saying you can't deliver when you sell things. So that's why, again, I'm switched to selling more low cost, easier to fulfill services so that I can sell more of those, higher volume, and have less stress and less responsibility for results driven services. Doesn't mean I can't also sell those. I can, and I do, right? But I try to generate the majority of my income on deliverables, right? Activity based services, not results based services, right? And by filling your pipeline full of leads and always having consistent sales conversations, you have no choice but to get better, right? You can't help but to get better and generate more revenue. That's a good problem to have. Like, here's the thing, guys. I still do sales calls. I have a salesperson on staff now at Semantic Links who does, I do all the sales calls for tree care, but Semantic Links, I've been doing all the sales calls for that for years. And then over the last 6 months or so, I got a salesperson in place now. But I still do 2 to 3 sales calls per week, every single week for Semantic Links alone. Why? Because I don't want to lose my edge. I don't want to lose my edge. I want to stay sharp. I also want to communicate with other agency owners on a weekly basis so that I can identify when there's opportunities for new services, right? New products or services that I can offer. It keeps me with my finger on the pulse of the current agency environment, which is why I still do 2 or 3 sales calls per week, every single week, right? I've got a salesperson who's doing really, really well. So I don't have to do sales calls, but I choose to because I don't want to lose my edge, right? And it keeps me sharp. And so hopefully that makes sense, guys. Focus in on the things that are going to generate revenue for your agency. Stop I keep clicking on the wrong box. Stop chasing the wrong things. That's what I'm getting at. I guess I closed the comment box because I can't find it. All right, I think I'm going to wrap it up anyways, guys. So we're already 7 minutes over. So I appreciate everybody for being here. We have a mastermind webinar tomorrow for anybody that's in the mastermind. If you're not there yet, come join it. You can attend the first mastermind.